Hello everybody, Jediwarlock here and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today, we're going on another adventure in the world of Warcraft, this time around the Blood Elven kingdom of Quel'Thalas, which includes the Eversong Woods, the Ghostlands, and the Isle of Quel'Danas. As you can see, my Blood Elf priest Malia has returned, and today's route is a bit special for a couple of reasons. First, I have a few tricks up my sleeve to make this swim a bit easier on my character, including the Hydro Cane from Gnomragon, which grants underwater breathing, and an Azure Silk Belt that increases my swim speed by 15%. Due to the abnormal nature of how these zones are set up, I'm going to be doing the swim in 3 parts. First, the west coast of both zones, then the east coast, and then I'll be going up and completing the journey by swimming around the isle. So, with all that being said, let's get right into it and explore the oceans of Azeroth. After making it to Sunstrider Isle on the north tip of the continent, I started my swim around the western shore. Even though it was a little off-putting to immediately run into an invisible wall here by the fatigue zone, the scenery was really beautiful, and I kept swimming along past the tranquil shore until I reached the Sunsail anchorage. This is a major location for the Elven Navy, but after being overrun by the corrupted elves known as the Wretched, one of the Elven destroyers is now sunk at the bottom of the harbor. The rest of this side of Eversong didn't have much to show besides more murlocs, and while I was a little disappointed that there weren't any real secrets to be found here, the Ghostlands more than made up for it. Swimming into the dreary waters, I didn't find much at first, but sure enough, as I swam into the bay near Shalandis Isle, the ships started to come into view. An elven and human ship can both be found here, but we're just getting started. The Ghostlands must be the Horde equivalent of Westfall, because sunken ships are very common here. Just off the coast of Windrunner Village, there is a boat with one of the signature massive anchors, which was pretty neat to find. Almost immediately after that, near Windrunner Spire, is a sunken elven ship, and even farther south is one final human vessel, clinging to the edge of the shelf. I couldn't venture very far into the fatigue zone, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are another 1 or 2 boats even more lost than these 5. A surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. Soon after leaving this last shipwreck, I hit another invisible wall, and I couldn't find any way past it. This reveals a bit of the smoke and mirrors behind Quel'Thalas that I've mentioned in a previous swim. These zones aren't actually connected to the rest of the Eastern Kingdoms, since they were added in a later expansion, meaning the developers decided to put in these barriers to prevent you from just swimming out into the void. After this dead end, I hearthed back to Silvermoon and traveled back to Sunstrider Isle for the start of Phase 2. From the top of Sunstrider Isle, you can see the Isle of Quel'Danas off in the distance, which is pretty cool. And soon after, right behind the Sunspire, I ran into this Blood Elf, along with his 2 kids and their cats. This guy says some pretty interesting things related to Burning Crusade and the expanded lore if you hang out long enough, so I'd recommend you paying him a visit sometime. The back gate of Silvermoon City is visible from the coast nearby, but you can't pass through it into the Dead Scar from this side. I was also able to run up into the mountains behind the city, but there's no easy path to glitching down into the city that I was able to find up here. The Duskwither Academy and grounds were my next destination, and they actually turned out to be my last in this zone. I found this neat little coral pool right at the base of the tower, which was a nice consolation prize considering there's another invisible wall right here that prevents players from seeing the rest of the coastline. Luckily, it wasn't too hard for me to ride back to the Flightmaster in order to reach the Isle of Quel'Danas. Having only ever flown here on Alliance characters, it was a bit of a fun surprise that I could fly all the way out here without being teleported like in most other circumstances. The Sun's Reach Harbor was probably the most detailed area on this trip, with plenty of aquatic vegetation resting below the 3 elven destroyers now run by Quel'Thalas' troops. The Magister's Terrace and Sunwell Plateau areas are just stunning, but I also really like how some of the walls and structures are starting to look overgrown from years of abandonment and age. Also, having Naga who served the Legion regroup here on the coast is a perfect use of the space. In the south, seeing some feral Scourge as well as the Dead Scar extending out into the sea really illustrate what a great threat the Scourge is within the Warcraft universe. To be honest, I didn't find a lot else out here on the Isle, but it was a quick swim around one of the most breathtaking zones in the Eastern Kingdoms. My total swim lasted just a little over 1 hour, and while I wasn't able to see a ton of secrets in this episode, I think overall the swim went very well, since it really only covered 3 zones. I hope you're all looking forward to my next adventure, flying around Outland and beyond. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment down below with your thoughts, subscribe if you're new to join the Jedi Order, and until next time, may the Force be with you.